All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We got a few other people joining, which is good. This will all be recorded, so we'll post it on the website. But the ones that are here, thanks for joining. So this will be just kind of an informational tutorial on how to use the iWanamaker app and the Mission Golf app, which are two different things. And if you don't know, I know some of you. I'm Doug Fessler. I'm the executive director for golf for the state, and I'm not going to be conducting this. We'll have Bryce from Representative iWanamaker. He'll be the one that really talks through this and gets us going. Some of you may be hosting district tournaments. Some of you may just be the regular season. I know there's been a lot of questions, and as I've said, you've gotten a couple of e-blasts from me. If you've gotten to read them, change is hard. Nobody really likes it. But the Golf Advisory Committee, I want to stress that this did not come from Doug Fessler. I did not strong arm anybody into doing this. This is recommendation from the Golf Advisory Committee, actually over the past couple of years. And we've just gotten, I think, the right platform to do this. It does mean that girls and boys are allowed to have their phones out during competition, and that is the biggest worry that I've heard right now amongst coaches. What do we do? Kids it's just going to slow play more, this and that. And my answer to this, and I was a golf coach for 16 years, both girls and boys, so I'm very familiar with this. And my answer to it is coach up your kids. They're going to do what you allow them to do, and if you don't want them to use it, at least during the regular season, then fine. But at least we want you to have them sign up. So if a match or a tournament wants to use it, they can do it. The truth of the matter is only one person out of the group has to really have their phone out to keep the live score. The other ones don't ever have to get it out. And, and really it only has to be done between green and the next tee. If they want to use the GPS app that is provided through the Mission Golf app, which is USGA approved, they can. But yeah, that'll take the use of using their phone. Somebody said, well, what if you find out they're doing TikTok videos and different things and messaging? Well, I'd say like any other sport, address it afterwards and have some consequences for it as a coach. So that's just kind of my 2 cents. I know it may be easier said than done, but we are now one of 31 states that have moved to this. It's worked in 30 other states. The same concerns that our coaches have had, other coaches have had, and then they find out it's really not been that big an issue. So, it is what it is. Yeah.
Now, is it correct that if they are caught listening to music, TikToking or anything else, first time it's a 2-throat penalty, right?
If you want it to be, I mean, that is the rule, Brian. If it's me and I'm out there, my voice is, hey, put it away. Don't be doing anything like that. I'm not going to cost you strokes right now, but I will next time. But that's going to be up to the local tournament. Once we get to districts, yeah, it will be, but I'm here to educate, not just punish. And I'll tell you, in case you all don't know, and I think Brad was involved in one of it, we had to disqualify in boys district golf last year 3 individuals that supposedly had their phone out or a watch and were looking at it, which wasn't allowed at the time, and had to DQ them. And they all said they didn't, but others said they did. And who really knows the truth? Now we don't have to worry about that. It's if we're all naive enough to think that this wasn't happening and people were on their phone prior, I'm telling you they were. And when you weren't looking, they were. Yeah, they could cheat, they could do all this, but they still got to make the stroke. They still got to do everything. The MGA, the AGA, they use it all summer. Kids are used to it. Now, your fair weather golfers that may come out that don't know much about it, yeah, those may be the ones that you may have to focus on a little bit more, and that's okay, but so I'd just say you kind of control that as you will. I wouldn't harp on everybody, especially early right now, until, you know, you give them a warning. But that's just me. You know, the rule says, you know, give them the 2-stroke penalty, but that's totally up to you. You know, it also says you disqualify people immediately. It used to, and you know, when we had the no cell phone rule, and it was enforced sometimes, but that's tough. You know, sometimes, and I'm not here to make it tough. I'm here to try to make an enjoyable experience, and understand this. Final thing I'll say before Bryce gets going is, remember, this is really, right now at this stage, it is for pleasure. You know, it is so parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever, coaches even, can follow a tournament without being physically right there in front of them. And nothing's official. The scorecard's still official. There are some states that's moved to this being official, but we're not near there yet. So, you know, the official written down scorecard is it, but this is a more of a novelty item for people to follow along and see. And some of you have heard this, but I will tell you why. Again, we've moved away from Golf Genius. Golf Genius was a great product that we used at the state tournament, but I had to ensure that the state tournament courses had Golf Genius. For one, we had a program that the MGA purchased through us, or excuse me, that we used through the MGA. They were nice enough to allow us to use it. It was over $1,000 fee every year they're gracious enough to use just for the 4 girls state tournaments and the 5 boys state tournaments, so 9 total. You multiply that by every district tournament, 16 in the fall, 20 in the spring, any regular season match or tournament, I would have had to set every single match up just like I did for state, and it's physically impossible. So Golf Genius is a great product, but this product allows the coaches to do it on their own. And eventually, I don't know where it'll go. The Golf Advisory Committee say we're not ready for it even this next spring or the next year. But eventually, I'd like to be, you know, required that we use it. So it should be used like it could be used, which is every single match. And they have a rankings feature and different features that are popping up that we don't really utilize yet, but other states do. Some states run their whole golf tournament based on their season rankings throughout the year. Again, we're not there. It's a great feature. As I told Bryce and Doyle, we're just here to use the novelty of it and get started with it. So, and listen, we can talk about that another time. Tonight, the rest of the time here, I like to focus on how to use the app and what to do. So, Bryce, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Doug.
Yep.
Hey, everyone. My name is Bryce. I work for iWanamaker. So if you do contact us, email us, call us, you're gonna talk to me or my coworker, Leanna. Sometimes Doyle even gets on the phone and answers support calls. So just know that we pride ourselves in our customer support. You're going to talk to somebody. You're going to respond to somebody. If we miss your call, just means that we're on the call with another coach. So give us a couple minutes and we'll return your call as soon as possible. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. All right. So first and foremost, for you as coaches and your golfers, the best way to get associated with your school is to download the MSHSAA golf app. We've enhanced the sign-up process so that once you sign up with an email and a password, you'll verify a 6-digit code, and then we're going to ask you a series of questions to help you get associated with your school. We're first going to ask you, hey, are you a golfer? Are you a coach? Are you a school administrator? Or are you a parent or spectator? Golfer, coach, whatever your role may be, you select that. The next screen you're going to see is you're going to find your school. Once you select your school, if you're a coach, you're going to say, okay, hey, I coach the boys and the girls, or just the girls. Once you complete your membership, that's going to first and foremost add you to all future events that have been created or past events. It also gives you the coach's access required to create and edit events, and as well as your roster. So if everybody can see my screen, and also please, if you have questions, raise your hand, stop me. I don't mind, I can pick it up after a question, so we don't have to save the questions for the end if you want to offer or ask in the moment. So obviously signing up through the app is the best way, but you can sign up at iWanamaker.com as well. If you do that, what's going to happen is that you're going to be brought to a landing page that may be a little overwhelming at first. And at this point, we don't know who you are. And so that's why I advise to go through the mobile app, the MSHSAA Golf app. Like I said, if you do want to sign up through iWanamaker.com, this is where you're going to land. You're going to see, this is kind of our main hub. You can see how many events were run today, how many are tomorrow, next week, last week, this month. You can see how many high school golfers we currently have in the system, the different leagues that we've created. So just so you know, if you land here, if you decide to sign up on the website, what you're going to want to do is you want to get you to the Missouri League. So you can either click League in the middle of the page, or you can click on the left-hand side. This left side menu is going to really help out in terms of navigating and knowing where you are. So if you click that up here, you can also pin that open. If you don't, you hover your mouse over it, you'll be able to see this. Now, you can also sign up at www.iwanamaker.com on a web browser on your phone. So that's one of the big improvements we've made from version 2 to version 3 is it's a scalable UI. So what you're seeing on your laptop is going to be the same thing you see on a web browser on your phone. So just know if you're out on the course and you need to get something set up and you don't have a computer, open up a web browser, log in, you'll be able to do everything you need to do from your device. Another cool feature we've added too, let's do this actually. Let's go to leagues first. And as you can see, we have junior leagues, high school, collegiate, amateur. You're going to scroll down and find Missouri. Now, a cool thing that you can do, now, obviously I'm an admin, so it didn't ask me, but as soon as you click on Missouri, you're going to get those same prompts as we have set up on the mobile app. It's going to ask you, hey, are you a coach? Are you a golfer? Are you a parent or spectator or school administrator? It's going to bring you through the same prompts. So just know if you sign up on the website, you can get there and you can get associated with your school. You just got to find Missouri first. Now, when you sign up as a coach, what we do is we favorite the Missouri League and your school. Now I'm going to go ahead and just favorite Missouri League here. And I'm just going to, let's say I'm a coach for Adrian. Okay. Just know you can favorite that wherever you go. Another cool thing is you can favorite events. And where you can access this is if up here in the top right corner, next to your profile picture, we have your favorites. Now, when you sign up and get associated with your school, we'll automatically add the Missouri League and your school. So just know if you ever get lost, let's say if you get back to this overall landing page, use those favorite icons. I can jump to my school. Let's see if we can find an event as well. We can favorite that. Let's just take this one, for example. And so if you have, multiple events, you can quickly jump back and forth. So use those favorite icons. So now, after you've signed up, you're associated with your school. There are certain things that you have to do on the website. Now, eventually, we're going to be able to do everything from the mobile app in terms of creating and editing events and as well as your roster. Right now, there's just certain things you have to do on the website, as in managing your roster or creating and running events. So we're going to go back and we're just going to go to the school I favorited here. So after you complete the membership and sign up, every time you log in to iWanamaker.com, it's going to bring you right to your school's page. If it doesn't, for some reason, give us a call, email us, we'll get you set up with the right access. So just know if your landing page is not your school, let us know, we can fix that. But what you're going to do is you're going to see over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see events, members, rosters, rankings, obviously store for, ticket prices and stuff like that, but you'll also see Golf Logics. Now, what I mentioned about the sign-up process, having your golfers basically go do the same thing that you did, download that MSHSAA Golf app, they'll sign up as a golfer, that's going to automatically add them to your roster. So you don't have to do anything. Now, we do offer you the chance or the opportunity to add them manually as well. So let's say you're not having your golf meeting for the, in the next week. don't let that stop you from adding your golfers. So another cool thing and a consistent thing that we use on the iWanamaker website is look for the 3 dots. If you ever need to make a change or import golfers or remove golfers, look for those 3 dots. And what you're going to do is, now look at, I'm on my roster on the left-hand side. I click those 3 dots. Now, editing rosters. Here is where, let's say if you have multiple coaches, here is where you can either select a coach as for your boys or girls team, or you can deselect somebody. So let's say if there's a coach that coached 1 year and is no longer coaching. So just so you know, you have control over that. And then let's click this again, and just to show you what it looks like if I want to add a member. We allow you to add in a first name, last name, a gender, their graduation year, and seed. Now their seed is optional, but if you do add somebody new, we make you fill out the first name, last name, their gender, and the graduation year. And another cool thing too
Hey,
is,
Bryce.
Yep.
Tell everybody real quick what the seed means, though.
Oh yeah, good question. So what we do for seedings, obviously you can use seed to pair your golfers in an event, but what we do for that is it's to give you an accurate team score. So let's just pull up an event real quick here. And I'm going to go through the event creation process here in a second, just to show you. So Missouri is 6 count 4. If you are bringing 6 golfers, we make you see.
Sorry, it's 5 count 4, Bryce.
It's 5 count 4. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
All right. So we'll get that fixed on our end. But if it is, so let's say you're bringing 7 golfers. Now it's important to seed them 1 through 7, and the system is going to force you to seed them 1 through 7. But like I said, that's to give you an accurate team score, so that everybody seeded 1 through 5, those golfers, their scores are going to be accumulated in the team score. Obviously, you take the best 4 of those 5. The system will do that automatically. So those 2 golfers seeded 6 and 7, their scores won't be accounted for the team score. So just so you know, if you're bringing more than the golfers per team that we have set, they're, you know, maybe they're just playing to get some scores in. Their score, if they're seeded correctly and higher than 5, they won't be accumulated in the team score.
Hey, Bryce. I know that I think, and if there's some St. Louis coaches on here, they might correct me, but I think some of their conference matches, they play 6 or 7 and count 4 scores. So my question would be, if that were left at like 6 or 7 and count 4 scores, but like, let's say district tournament, we only allow 5 golfers, would it just figure the 4 out of the 5 then? Or do you have to have 7 golfers listed if there's that many?
So what you can do is you can actually adjust that. Now for districts, obviously we'll lock that down. But what you can do is once you create your event, you can come in here and you can change. This is changeable. So if you're bringing 8 and you want to factor those 8 golfers into a four scores to count, you can adjust that.
Okay. I was just curious because you said that was something that you had to fix on your end. So I was curious about that. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. So yeah, what we can do on our end is we can set a default. So obviously it's the girls' season right now. And so I can take note of that. And
I'd go ahead and make the default 5 count 4, because I think most everybody is like that.
Okay, perfect. No, it's good stuff. And if you ever see something like that, please let us know. We'll get that updated in no time. So, all right. So again, and another thing, just while we're here, up in the top right corner, if you click this question mark, now this is going to be all our support information. What hours were available, email, phone, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Mountain Time to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. If you email us after hours, we'll more than likely we'll respond, as our phone line shuts, or closes at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So just so you know, if you're calling us after hours, that's why you're not getting anybody. But don't let that stop you from emailing us, either before we start or after, or even on the weekends as well. But also you'll see a lot of helpful documents. We have a golf coach's top 10, just kind of in preparation for a new season, just kind of a checklist. Hey, how do you get your team set up? All this stuff that I'm going over will be available in these documents. We also have help videos, tutorials walking through certain things, creating and setting up a match, the ranking system that we have, postseason tournament tips, stuff like that. Is all available to you by clicking that question mark in the top right corner. So just so you know that's available to you. And let's do this. Let's find, I want to see find a, I just want to find a team that has golfers in it already. Okay, so just so you can see what a roster looks like with golfers populated on it. Now, as you can see, to the left of everybody's first name, we have the ball and tee with the swoosh. That's our way of telling who signed up and who has not. So if you added somebody manually, they're not going to have that swoosh. But the beauty of that is, so let's say you're adding your golfers manually. Next week, you meet with them, you get them to download the MSHSAA golf app. Once they sign up, because you've already added them, as soon as they say, hey, I'm on the girls roster, we're going to show them the roster, the current roster. And what they can do is if you've added them manually, they'll select their name, they'll complete their membership, and then that'll fully sync their registration with what you've added on your end. So just so you know, you don't have to wait for them to sign up. You can add them beforehand as well. All right, now you're going to see this orange create event button. You're going to see it obviously at the Missouri League level, but if you go to a school level as well, you're going to see that as well. So we're just going to walk through a quick event create. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create it, and then we can delete the event as well. So I thought it'd be a good example to create one of the district events and just kind of show you how easy it can be to get your all your schools in the event based on their district, and then obviously the state tournaments are a little bit different. But so gonna go and create event wizard here. Now this is just to give you some basic information as you get started. So we're going to go ahead and click let's get started. Now, one thing, when we're creating events, you're going to see two blue boxes. So right now you see select courses. And if I go one step further, you're going to see edit details. Now, the reason I bring this up is you don't want to use your back arrows, because if you're in the middle of creating this and you use a back arrow, you're going to lose your progress. So it's bringing you back. So that's why I stress the importance of staying inside the middle of the page and navigating left and right off of these blue buttons. So what we're going to do, so obviously tournament format, we have a bunch of different tournament formats. Team stroke play obviously being the most common, but you can set up scramble events, team match play, individual stroke play, better best ball, 4-ball, all those are available to you to create and run your events. Select girls, and as you can see, you have some basic information. We have the start date and time, the event type. What's cool that we do with practice events, we hide practice events from the rest of the league. So if you just want your coaches and your golfers to see an event, a practice event, just know that's available for you to create and run events that are not necessarily regular season events. So just know that is available to you to create and run events as well. And then event level type, you can run JV events, you can run developmental events. So all of these options are available to you. And what we're going to do is we're going to just create a district one, for example. Now, everything looks correct. I'm going to go ahead and select my courses. Now, I've gotten some questions, so I'm in charge of courses here at iWanamaker. And so I wanted to point out, I think there's been a little bit of miscommunication, not just with Missouri, it happens with other states as well. Let's say you cannot find your course. What we do is we have a new course form, basically asking you, hey, what's the club, the name of the club, the name of the course, the city it's in, and then the state. But if you read up here, we want you to add any course. Obviously, we don't have it in the system, so we're asking you to add any course to your event to allow you to continue going forward. So you're not just stuck waiting for us to add courses on our end. So we ask you, okay, you fill out this form, that goes directly to me, but the email only fires off if you complete your event, because what that sends me then is all that course information. It also sends me the event code. So then I go and add it on my end. I have your event code, and then I add your new course to your event. So you're not hung up waiting for me to add it. So you can continue to get your event set up and ready to, be scored or scored after the fact. So just so you know, I just wanted to point that out. You can also email us, support@iWanamaker.com. Say, hey, I need this course added. It's not in your system. Like I said, very quick to get those added. And I apologize if I haven't to some of you coaches so far. But just wanted to clear up some confusion with that. So what you'll do, obviously we'll search Missouri, and let's do Arcadia. Okay. Now, as you can see, the course name is the same as the club name. When that's the case, it automatically adds it down below. If you have a club that has maybe 3 different combinations, you'll have to select the combination in order to add it. And as you can see, those 3 dots, what you can do is you can add courses as favorites. So as you can see, I have a couple of courses down below. Let's say, hey, I play 3 events at this course. I want to add that as a favorite. I can add that down here. So now, let's say if I go back a page, or let's say if I remove this course, each event that you create going forward, you're going to have that as an option. So what you would do is click those 3 dots, and you can add it to your event. Another cool thing too is, if you have a tee box that you play every time, you can set a default tee box. And, you can always add multiple courses. Let's say if you're having a 2-day event, just know there's no limit in terms of how many courses you can add to your event. And as you can see, we have that Golf Logic symbol down there. That means that it's mapped out in our system with Golf Logics. And another thing with that, if for some reason we don't have a course mapped in our system, but Golf Logics does, let us know. I have a login to and access to their courses, where basically I just have to grab a GPS ID, add it to our system, and it refreshes the event. And then now you have that course mapped out for your event.
And just so everybody knows, they downloaded through, tell them kind of how you start with this. Like, you got a list of courses through what, the MGA, USGA, or how'd you do that?
Yeah, so what I do, and I'm in the process of going through, I'm matching up our courses with what the USGA database has. Because obviously, so we pull the rating and slope from the USGA database. And then what we like to do is, obviously, if they have a website, this club or course has a website, we'll use that information, that scorecard information, to add into our database. Or if you have a picture of the scorecard, it's possible that we have the course in the system, but it's just, maybe it's out of date. Maybe they switched the 9s. Take a picture of it, send it to us. We'll get that updated as soon as possible. Is that what you were saying, Doug?
Yeah, just because I know some people were, well, why my course in there? Well, I mean, you'll understand there's a lot of courses in Missouri, and not every one of them are necessarily USGA compliant. And that's where they start from, so, but, give this thing 1 year and all courses will be in there, obviously. So it just might take a little time. So.
Yep. And it's possible, sometimes the USGA doesn't even have the rating and slope information for a club or course. And that's why, if you have an updated scorecard with that information on it, if we don't, like I said, I'm looking for their website first and foremost, Blue Golf, and I'll always confirm with you too, like, hey, does the information in this link look accurate, before I'll add it. So just know, that dialogue can be talked about and before it's added or after, to get it updated as well.
Perfect.
All right, so now we've added our course. Now we're going to select participants. Now, by default, because I selected girls, so always be wary of the gender. I've seen where, you know, by default it's set to boys. So if you're setting up a girls event and you set boys on the initial create event wizard page, it'll default to boys here too. So always make sure you check that. Now, a cool thing, we make you select one host school. Now, what this, or the reason this is, we do this is for branding the event with your school's logo, so that when the event is created, it's clear, okay, who is the host team. So when you're selecting your host, we only allow you to select one. And in this case, I'm going to select the MSH. Type it out. There we go. I'm going to select the Missouri entity. For example, for district and state events, it will look really cool getting your state's logo branded for the event. Now, as you can see, if I just searched for it, but now I've selected it, I can't select anything else. And that's what I said. So we make you select one. As you can see in the bottom right corner, we have that import button. I'm going to go ahead and import that. And now I'm brought to the visitors. Now, for example, in this training video, I'm going to do, for example, just class 1A, district 1, or class 1, district 1. And so obviously you can search for teams, or you can use the filter options. So I'm going to select one for class and then one for district. Now I have all class 1, district 1 teams. And let's say we're all going to be in the district event. I'm going to highlight them all and import. Now, as you can see, now I can finalize my event. Or if you need to remove somebody, find those 3 dots and say, oh, actually, hey, they're, you know, Ash Grove isn't coming. I'm going to click the 3 dots and remove them. Now you'll have the ability to add additional teams and remove additional teams once the event is created. And I'll walk through that in a moment here. And you can toggle between these two. Okay, so I know who my host team is and I know who my visitors are. Okay, I'm ready to finalize my event. And just grab, copy and paste this here. And Doug, I'll talk to you about this as well, but we can use any kind of name scheme for these district and state events. So we can have it look however you'd like. But this is kind of just the finish page. You basically just get to review the information that you've just set up. Here is where, like you saw, you can change the name of the event. So by default, we add in all the teams into the title of the event. So just know you can change that here. You can change it after we create the event. All right, so now, as you can see, I can go back and select my participants, or I can finish. Now, finish is the last step to get your event created. Create that event, and now I'm presented with my checklist. Obviously, I've added a course to my event. I have 19 teams in the event. I don't have any golfers yet, but we automatically create a round and then the pairings. So now my event is created. There's essentially 2 things I need to do before it's ready to be scored live. And that's import my golfers and then pair them up. And so as you can see, I can even favorite this event. So let's say I jump back, use my favorite icon, I can get right back to where I need to be. So the way the system works, when you create an event and you add these schools in, if there's a coach for that school, we automatically add them as a manager for the event and a coach. So a manager, what you'll see is you're going to see edit event and you're going to see overrides here on the left-hand side. And that's another good way of telling, okay, maybe I don't have the right access. If your school is in an event over on here on the left-hand side, if you don't see edit event or overrides, give us a call. There's something we just need to get you associated or selected as a coach for your school. So just so you know, look for that on the left-hand side. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off the edit event process on the options for this page. Now here is where you can adjust the title of the event again. You can change your start date and time. You can even change your format if you'd like. But here you're going to see a number of different options. You're going to see you have the ability to use flights. So let's say if you have a varsity and a junior varsity teams playing an event, or even boys and girls, you could create a boys flight and a girls flight. varsity, JV. So just so you know, the flights option is available to you. Let's say if you selected the wrong event type, hey, I can correct that here. Or even the event level type, varsity, junior varsity. Now, by default, exchange scorecard is turned off. And Doug mentioned this earlier in start of the training. When exchange scorecard is turned off, what that allows to do, it opens up the pairings so that only one golfer needs to enter or can enter scores for anybody else in the pairing. So if you're playing in threesomes or foursomes, like Doug said, you could assign one girl, one boy to score for that pairing. So just so you know, that's where you can control that here. Obviously, we have an option to turn that on as well, where it's a digital scorecard exchange, which is pretty cool. And we can take a look at that if you guys want to later. But yeah, so that's our options for this page. Again,
Bryce, before you go on, explain, because I've had at least one coach ask, and just so it's on the recording here, if let's just say this is a regular season match even, okay, not a big district tournament you've created, and there are varsity teams and there's JV even teams that are playing together, like 3 schools, and they each had 10 people participating each or something. So there's a varsity team and JV. Does it matter which event level they select, or over on the flights, or what do you suggest is the easiest way to control that? Should they just make a varsity tournament and a separate JV, or what's the easiest way to do that?
Personally, I like to do it all in one event because of the flights options, like you mentioned, displaying them differently on a leaderboard. You know, you could have a varsity leaderboard or a JV leaderboard. But to answer your question, we do have to select one event level. So if it's a varsity event, and you're bringing a JV team as well, and I'll show you that on the team step, but there's a way. So when you can add an additional team from the same school. So let's say I'm bringing a varsity and a JV. I could have my primary school be my varsity team, and I can add an additional team that'll be my secondary team. Now, obviously, if it's a varsity event, the secondary team, that JV team, they won't get a team ranking. Now, their golfers will get individual rankings, but their team, so let's say your varsity and JV are coming, but you don't want your JV scores to hurt your rankings. Using that way to add an additional team from the same school, and I'll show you how they're labeled, primary and secondary, how you can tell that. We are going to be adding a both gender. So like I said, right now you have to just select one or the other. So that would be the only downfall of creating one event. And so if you don't like that, creating 2 events is totally fine. But just know you do have to select one event level, whether it be varsity or junior varsity, or boys or girls, along those lines.
And for the most part, I think most of our events are varsity events, and then if they have extra players, obviously up to 10, they'll bring their JV kiddos along, and then depending, there may be enough to have a team score. So that's why I was asking. That's 99% of our events are like that.
Okay. Yeah, and what's cool about that, and what I mentioned about the seeding earlier, is you bring 10 girls, you seed your best 5, 1 through 5, and then let's say your second team or your JV golfers 6 through 10. What the system does automatically is it's only going to factor in those first 5 seeds to accumulate your team score. Now 6 through 10, they're going to get an individual score, but those 6 through 10 scores will not be counted towards the team score.
Great. Okay.
All right. So next we're going to go to the courses step on here on the left-hand side. Here is where you can review the information, make sure everything's accurate. And again, please let us know if something isn't. But what you'll do is you'll click those 3 dots and you can edit the course. Now there's certain information that you can edit. Like I said earlier, we lock down the rating and slope. As you can see, I can change it, but you as a coach will not be able to change the rating and slope. So if that is incorrect, please let us know. But what you as a coach can do is you can edit the par values, the yards, and the handicap. So just know, obviously, let us know if something's incorrect. But if you're on the go, you're in the middle of an event, just know that's available for you to change, is the par values and yardage and handicaps. You can also change the team name. So let's say it's a district event. You want to have an official, okay, let's say you can name it something. Go ahead and save that. And that was something I haven't covered yet. So once you do make a change, what's going to happen is this blue save button, or the save button, is going to turn blue. Now, let's say, and that's actually a par 5. As you can see, it highlights it blue. Now, if I make a change and I try to go somewhere else, the system is going to catch you. Hey, you've made a change. You can either stay and save those changes, or you can leave and discard them. So just know if you're making a bunch of changes and you try to go somewhere else, let's try to go back to my school, it's going to catch you. Now, we'll go ahead and stay. You can discard the changes or you can save them. So just so you know where that is when you're making changes to your event. And this event or this course needs updating. So next, and going back to my checklist here. So I need to add my golfers and I need to pair them up. So like I said before, on this team step on the left-hand side, these coaches were brought into the event automatically once I added them. And you can find those on the member tab. These are all the coaches that were brought in automatically. What we do is we list you as a manager and a coach. Managers have the ability to edit the event. And so if you'd ever like to, support call. If you'd ever like to remove somebody or prevent somebody from being able to edit the event, you can select their name. And up here above, you can select an action. Now, this is a cool feature available if you want to communicate to other coaches inside your event. We allow you to send messages. Now, we have a couple different templates available to you, but you can obviously type in the body of the email and adjust that however you'd like. But just so you know, if your event is coming up and hey, coaches need to get their golfers in the event, just know you can send that email to them. Also, let's say for some reason I don't want Bo or Buck to be editing my event, I can go ahead and delete them. I save my changes. Now those Bo and Buck are still listed as coaches, that they won't be able to edit the event in terms of everything on the left-hand side. And the reason I say that is, let's say it's a district event, a state event, and you, Doug, or whoever's running them, only wants 2 or 3 people being able to edit the event. You can control that manager list, but you can keep everybody listed as coaches. As a coach, what that access looks like is they're going to see the edit event option, but when they click on that, it's only going to bring them to their team. They're only going to be able to import their golfers or edit their seeds. So just so you know, if you remove them as a manager, they're still going to be able to edit their team or import their golfers, but they're not going to be able to mess with the pairings or the leaderboard. So they're only going to see the team step.
That's probably what you'd want to do for most of your events, if you're hosting, I would imagine. So.
Yep. And with that, so, we encourage every host school or every coach to only create the events that you're hosting. That way we avoid duplicates. But let's say a school doesn't want to use it. Don't let that stop you from not creating the event. Yeah, Brian.
Okay. Let's say you're not doing district. Let's say you're doing your own home tournament. How do you add more than one team to it?
Good question. Okay. So we'll go back to the team step. So first, let me show you how to import your golfers. Okay. So you're going to find your team and find those 3 dots on the right-hand side. What you're going to see is you're going to see a couple options. You're going to see add golfers. You're going to see edit seeds. There's a leaderboard visibility where if you want to include your team on the leaderboard or exclude, or you can delete your team. Or if it's not your team, you can, let's say Adrian's no longer coming to the event. I can go ahead and just delete them from the event. I save my changes, and that also removes their coach now that their school is now no longer in the event. So just so you know, when we add schools, brings in their coaches. When we remove schools, it removes their coaches. But we're going to go ahead and add golfers. Now, this is going to bring up your roster. So Alton doesn't have any golfers signed up yet for the girls. Here's another place. If you're the coach for Alton, you can add golfers here. So just so you know, if you click those 3 dots, I can add members inside an event as well. Now, we limit that to the coach. So if I'm a coach for a different school, I'm not going to see the 3 dots for someone else's school. I'll go ahead and hit cancel on that. Let's just see. And to answer your question, Brian, so up here where it says teams for this event, find those same 3 dots. You're going to see a couple options here. You can see add team from leagues. So here's where you can add additional teams that say, hey, I forgot to add a team in that initial creation phase. I need to go and add them. We'll go ahead and click that. And that basically brings up the Missouri League and the girls. You can use the filter options or you can search. So just so you know, if you forget a team or need to add an additional team, you can do so there. But the next option here, add additional team from same school. We click on that. Now it's going to show you all the teams inside the event with a 0 next to them. The number that you're adding here is the number of additional teams you'd like to bring into your event. So for Alton, we would just go ahead and change that 0 to a 1. And then down here at the bottom, you're going to see that import button. So now I have an Alton and an Alton 2. And as you can see, like I mentioned before, you have a primary and a secondary. This is how you can, if you want to utilize it, you can determine, okay, hey, my primary is going to be the varsity, secondary is going to be the junior varsity. You can also click in here and change this. You can change the way your team is displayed. So you can do Alton varsity, let's say junior varsity. So just so you know, you can click in here and change that, as well as the team abbreviation. Now, this is only changing the name for the event. So don't worry, it's not changing your school's name. It's not messing anything up like that. Just so you know that's available to you. Or let's say I click on add additional team from same school. Let's say I'm bringing 2 more teams. I can change that. Let's leave that one. Let's do Ash Grove. Okay, so I can add 2 teams. So now Ash Grove has a primary and 2 secondaries. So that's how you can add in additional teams. So just so you know, that's an option available to you. And
Bryce, Brad Downs here. So you were talking about a coach there adding their players. As a manager, can you add players for other teams, for all the teams?
No, unfortunately not. You know, there is certain access that we could give you. So for the Missouri League, for example, obviously Doug and Craig are listed as executives, but what you can do is league administrators for the state of Missouri, they have the ability to add golfers from other teams. So obviously you probably have to talk to Doug about that in terms of getting on this list, as he controls that.
And yeah, I'll probably, Bryce, for the district managers, if the district managers will probably ran as administrators, you know, that way they can, if they need to, the last second to do that. So
Definitely, yeah.
and my state managers will be on there too when they run the state tournament. So
right. And then somebody else had a question. Travis, how do you add your team into an event that a coach didn't add you? Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I can't figure out, how to join a tournament that we're not listed in.
So a quick and easy fix is give us a call or email us. We'll get you added. Or if you know who's hosting the event, the host school, you can reach out to them as well. But yeah, at this time, if you haven't been added, give us a call. We'll get you added, or reach out to that school or coach that created the event.
Great. And so then they would take care of the roster at that point, or like once we're in, then we can add our own roster.
So there's a couple different ways you could go about that. So as if your school's brought in your manager, let's say I'm hosting the event and I say, okay, the event's created. I send an email blast out to all the coaches in the event. Hey, here's the event. It's created. Go add your players or go import your golfers. That's one way. What you could also do is, obviously, you can't, unless you're a league admin, you can't add golfers ad hoc is what we call it, or add them manually for other schools. So what you could do is if they have them on their roster already and you send them a message, say, hey, send me your 5 golfers, I'll import them into the event. But like I said, they have to be on the roster if you don't have that league admin privilege.
Got it. That helps. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. Good question.
So,
Okay.
so what it kind of comes down to is if you're hosting an event, like for example, I host a boys tournament that has 23 teams. It's going to make it a lot easier setting up the event if everybody has entered their rosters into this system, and then I can just import all of those teams to set everything up. So it's highly important from what it sounds like to me, just kind of send this out. It's highly important for tournament hosts to have all the coaches using this.
Yes. Yeah, and that's been my message. That's, been the e-blast is, hey, if you don't want to use it, fine, but at least sign your golfers up, and that way the tournament host can still run this thing, or the match host or whoever.
Yep. And
Yeah,
that's what's
I see some good things if everybody will at least, like you said, at least have their rosters in. It's going to be really, really easy to import their team.
Yeah, and and again, that's what I think I even put it in big red letters, not today's, but 2 days ago or whatever. At a minimum, coaches, just please enter your stuff, and that's what I'm trying to get done through the season. So we'll just see.
And the cool piece that we've, with the whole enhanced sign up process, let's say you haven't had your golfers sign up yet, but you went and added 10 girls manually into your roster, and you can still bring them into an event. So your golfers could be in an event, but they haven't even signed up yet. Once they download the MSHSAA golf app and sign up, that's going to sync their membership with the golfer that you've added. It's at the roster level. It's also going to sync up with the event that you've added them into as well. So just know that once that sign up or that membership is complete by that golfer, that synchronizes their membership with wherever you've added them. It could be into 3 or 4 future events. It could have been in past events. So just so you know, once they sign up and they see their name, they select it, they synchronize that adds them into every event, or syncs up their account with where you've added them.
And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, Bryce. Just to let everybody know, I will be maybe weekly after this week sending out reminders, maybe to people that hadn't signed up yet, with just some simple instructions. Hey, at a minimum, please, coaches, just do this, and that way that part's done. In case somebody is hosting, they can still use this, tool. And that's our goal by the district tournament, to have every kid signed up, and I think each day more and more will continue to sign up. So.
Right. Let's do this. And just to show you, so now let's say I have all my golfers in the event. They're seated correctly. And that's another thing too, is I was trying to find a school that has golfers. So what you would do is you would select their name and then import them into the event. So you'll be able to see that golfer once you've imported them. Now, because Missouri's 5-count 4, let's say you're importing at a minimum 4 golfers. What the system does is the system forces you to seed them, like I said before, to give you an accurate team score. So we catch you as soon as you're importing them into an event. We're going to make you seed them right then and there. So let's say all my golfers are in the event, they're seated correctly. There's one more thing I have to do, and that's to set up my pairings. And so what you can do here on the left-hand side is you click on pairings. Now you're going to see your options for round 1. Here is where you're going to be able to, let's say if you have to, maybe it's postponed, due to rain, or, maybe a couple hours, adjust the time here. You're going to see standard or shotgun. You're going to be able to change the golfers per team, scores to count. Here is where you can set tee intervals. So if you're doing a standard start, you can have tee times every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes. So just so you know, that time is changeable for you. You can also customize, okay, hey, I want all my golfers going off 1, 10, or you can alternate them as well. Like you said, you run a lot of 9-hole events. So make sure that the number of holes is selected correctly. And here's where you can, obviously I set my default tee to white. If you ever need to change that, here is where you're going to change that for your event. I've seen some coaches in other states get a little confused in terms of setting it up here. They're saying, okay, hey, so I've set it as a default to white. Let's say we're actually playing the red. I change it here, but if I go back to my pairings, it's still going to be white. So there's been a little bit of confusion in terms of where to set that default tee box. Just so you know, you can set that when you're setting up your pairings. Now there's 2 options to set up your pairings. A new feature that we've added is automated pairings. Now, obviously, I don't have enough golfers in the event right now, but what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to control how many golfers per pairing. And then there's a couple different pairing options. You can pair by lowest seed first, so all your 1s would go off first, or highest seed first, all your 5 seeds. Or you could do lowest IWR, highest IWR if they have it. And that's our iWanamaker ranking. And then let's say we have all the golfers, I want my lowest seed first. You create the pairings, and that's done in less than a minute. If it's a bigger event, like 100 golfers, it may take a minute, minute and a half, but for the most part, it's fairly quick. Now, for these smaller events, you'll probably just have to add them manually. So what you'll do down here is you'll click add 1 pairing. Or if you click this down arrow, as you can see, we have a number of different options. So you can add 2 at a time, or add 5 pairings, or 10. It's just going to save you clicks. So if I click add 10 pairings, boom, there they are. I can go ahead and delete them all. Again, and I did that pretty quick, but that's the 3 dots. So pairings for round 1. If you need to delete your pairings and start over, just go ahead and delete them. But what I'm going to do, since I only have 1 golfer, I'm just going to add 1 pairing. And I'd like to show you this is because if you need to move around pairings or move people to different holes, the start time and the start hole is clickable. So you can click this, and let's say, hey, they're actually going to go off at 7:45. Hit OK, and that's PM, but let me change that to AM. Hit OK, and that reflects it as well. Same thing if I hit the starting hole. I can choose anyone 1 through 18. And let's say if we just change this to a shotgun, just to show you what other options are available. We have obviously 1 through 1C, all the way to 18 through 18C. So if you're doing a shotgun event, just know you can set their starting hole or setting their starting group as well. I'll change it back to standard. So I've added 1 pairing. Now there's the last thing you have to do is add golfers to that pairing. Again, find those 3 dots. Hear me say that a lot. Find those 3 dots. And then we're going to click add golfers. Now, obviously, I only have 1 golfer in the event right now, but if your golfers have been imported, they're all going to show here. So you could have a list of 20, 25, or only 10 to 12. If you've imported them into the event, they'll be available to pair up. You select their name and you click add. So now Emma is in this pairing. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And the reason, and that's just for the gender purpose, for the tee box. And the reason I show you that is now that I've added a pairing, what it's going to look like over here on the left-hand side, we're going to click event home. And now my checklist is gone and my pairing is there. So like I said, setting up the pairings is the last thing that you need to do to make your event live or ready to be scored. Whether it's live scoring that you're doing it, or let's say you're going to enter in the scores later that day or later that night. And now that I mentioned that, just to show you, let's say you got the event set up, but hey, they're doing paper scorecards. We're going to add the scores in after the fact. That's something that we offer as well. What you can do is use the override feature. You're going to click overrides on the left-hand side. Now this is basically where you can add a second round as well. But in this paragraph, it's going to explain just the different override options available to you for your event. Below that paragraph, we're going to click the 3 dots for your round. Now here you're going to see a number of options as well. You're going to see obviously edit round and pairings, which that's just going to bring you one step below to the pairings. You can close your round. Qualifying round you won't need to worry about. But down below you're going to see 4 options. You're going to be able to override scores. You're going to be able to override seeds. You're going to override eligibility. So let's say if a golfer gets DQ'd or withdraws, you're going to be able to change their eligibility. Or you can override tiebreakers. So just in this example, I want to show you what that override scores feature is going to look like. So you select that. You can filter by pairing, or you can filter by team. So if you're just worried about your school and your golfers, I can filter by then. Let's see, forgot what team she's on. Ludi, okay. Go back over my scores. And here is where I can enter in those hole by hole scores. Put them all in, you save them. And I'll just discard them just so we don't get any scores in there for Emma. But like I said, if you're not live scoring the event, just know you can still get your scores in. You can enter them in after the fact, and that's through the override scores feature. All right, so like I said, as soon as you set up your pairings, that's all you have to do. So essentially, you create the event, you import your golfers, and you pair them up. At a minimum, that's all you have to do. That's what makes your event live and ready to be scored. Now, a couple just other cool features. Obviously, you can see down here below, we only allow you to delete an event if you created it. So just know if you created one by accident, don't need it anymore, you can find that while you're editing the event down here. I'm going to show you the leaderboard step here for a second. What you can do is you can set the default leaderboard. So whether it's golfers, coaches, parents, or spectators, if they're navigating to this event, you can control which leaderboard they see first. So whether it be individual, save it. And if I go back to event home, it defaults to the individual leaderboard. If we change that back to team, that goes hand in hand. So by default, there's tiebreakers, okay? We set it to manual automatically. So there's a couple different options. For individual tiebreakers, we have last 9, last 6, last 3, last 1, holes played versus par. Team tiebreakers, we have use scores not included in team score. So the reason I show you this, if Missouri, if you break ties a certain way, let us know. You know, we could build it out for you. You know, if you do break ties a certain way, just kind of, you'd have to just explain it to us, give us all the parameters, and we'll build it for you. So just so you know.
And I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that for the district and state tournament because we do have that language.
Perfect. All right. And then down below, you're not going to be able to deselect both leaderboards. You can deselect one. So let's say if I'm only worried about individual scores, I can uncheck that, save it. And now I'm only going to see an option for individual gross. All right. Now, I know we're a little over time, so I'll wrap up here in a second here. But just so you know, there's information and rules that you can add to your event as well. Again, find those 3 dots, and we can add information. Now, this will allow you to copy paste, type whatever you'd like in terms of information you'd like golfers, managers, coaches, even parents to see. And what you can do is you can actually choose your audience. Say, hey, for the event information, we'll let everybody see it. We'll save that. But if we go to rules, rules, you could keep the audience to only managers, coaches, and golfers. So you could unselect everybody else, save it, and let's just say USGA rules, and save it. So where you could see this information, you'll be able to see this on the mobile app as well, and that's through details. If you click on details, you'll see my event test and then event rules. And the reason I show you this is obviously you haven't used us before, but we offer a number of printable options. And so what you can do is if you click details, and then in the middle of the page, you click rounds. Again, find those 3 dots. Here's where you can print individual scorecards. You can print pairing scorecards. You can print a golfer list, first name and last name, and you can print your pairings. You can also print cart signs. So just know that this is available to you as well. And let's see. And that's basically it in terms of creating and getting an event ready to be scored. Did you want me to go over any golf logics, Doug?
I don't know. I mean, not at this time, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. The basic stuff.
Okay. Yeah, totally fine. And like you said, utilizing golf logics through the Missouri Golf app, everything's USGA compliant. So just as a side note.
Anybody have any other general questions before we wrap up tonight? I know it was a lot, but it's really pretty user friendly if you just get in there and mess with it. And a lot of the stuff, if you're a state or district manager, we'll have some information be sent to you and different things and some tutorials hopefully printed up and sent out or whatever at your disposal. It's not going to be that hard.
And then with that too, like I said, and I cannot stress it enough, we understand this is new to everyone in Missouri. Give us a call, send us an email. We understand there's going to be some confusion, even if it's a how-to question, give us a call. Yeah, like I said, even if you're in the middle of an event, something goes wrong, call us. We can fix things on the fly. We could even set it up on the fly for you. So I can't stress that enough, that we're here to help. We're here to make this process that you're going through as smoothly as possible. So just know that.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's it. Said thank you all. Bryce, before we stop the recording, just so in case people look at the end, go up to the top where your support is, that icon, just to show everybody again. I'll tell you at the end of the video. If you have any questions, that's where you go. Question mark and roll, or you can ask me. All right. Thank you all. Share it. Tell everybody, hey, it's on there. Let's get it rolling.
All right. Thanks, Doug. And thanks everyone for coming. Anybody who's watching it, hope you enjoy, hope you use it. Like I said, give us a call. We'll help out.
All right. Thank you all. Thanks, Bryce.
Thanks, Doug. I'll stop the recording now.
Okay.